In this video, we're going to pick up where we left off, talking about 4 more font and text related properties. The first of which is called font weight. And so the weight of a font refers to how bold or lightweight the text is. Basically, how thick the actual font or how thick the lines are. So I'll give you an example here. We'll select all paragraphs and we'll say font weight bold. And so this is one of the options. We can say font weight is bold. And then I'm going to go to this file and refresh, and you'll see that the paragraph becomes bolded. Likewise, I can go back and I can change it back to normal, or I could just delete all of this. But if I change it back to normal, it now goes back to the normal font size. One thing I'll point out is that certain fonts will let you use a numeric value as well, and that ranges from 100 to 800. And it's not any number between 100 and 800, it's every 100. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 500, 600, 700, and 800. So that depends on the font itself, if you have that. So it looks something like this. That would be the lightest, and this would be pretty heavy, and this would be the heaviest. So we'll see how to use that actually in the next lesson when we talk about Google Fonts. So I'll change this back to bold for now. So line height does exactly what it sounds like it does. It controls the height of a given line. So if we go back to our browser here, we take a look at these paragraphs. Notice the line spacing here, how much space there is between this line and the next. And if you've ever had to change line spacing in something like Microsoft Word, before you, let's say, turned in a paper in high school or college, and it needed to be 1.5 or 2 point line spacing, we can do the exact same thing with CSS. So it's line height. Let's select a paragraph, line height, and then we just give it a number, and this will multiply the current line height, which is always determined by the font itself. If we have a larger font, we're going to have a larger space between lines. So let's refresh, and now we get double spacing. So we can, multiply that by 5. Usually you don't do much with line height aside from maybe 1.5 or 2. Okay, so that's line height. Go back to 2. Well, let's do 1.5. The next one is text align. So just like Microsoft Word or any word processor, text align controls how the text of a given element is actually aligned, if it's to the left, to the right, or to the center. So let's take our H1 to start, and let's center it. So if we inspect it, you'll see that the H1 takes up this entire length of the screen, but the text itself is only on the left side. So if we use text align, we can say text align right, and we'll move all the way to the right side. And if we do text align center, it will move to the center. So let's start. Select the H1, and let's do text align right. Save. Refresh, and you can see the H1 is now aligned to the right. And we can do the same thing to paragraphs, but let's text align center them. So text align center, save, refresh, and it's a small shift, but you can see that now our paragraphs are aligned center rather than left. So one last property is text decoration. And text decoration is used to give text an underline effect or a strike through, and also something called an overline, which is just underline except on top. So let's give all paragraphs a underline effect. So we just do text decoration underline, and we refresh, and we get a lot of underlined text. And we can do the same thing for our H1, and we'll do strike through. Line through. And there we go. We get this line through. Okay, so that's the basics of font and text-based properties in CSS. We're going to now, in the next video, actually talk about including custom fonts.